If you want to find out how to move aglaonemas from growing in soil to thriving in Leca clay balls, this is the video you need to watch. I'm going to put these two babies through the transition, put one in the submerged method, put another one using the Wick method, and we'll find out which one they prefer. Let's go. The first thing we're going to do is take these plants out of that soil. Of course, gently squeezing the pot. I normally have gloves on, but I don't because I have run out of gloves. So we are going to have to make do. Is that, I see a fungus gnat. I hate soil. There you go. That is my aglaonema there. Look at those roots. Don't they look just delicious? I can already tell. I think this plant is going to do very, very well in Leca. Okay, that is you. Get you out of the way. And that's my next one. Gentle squeeze and just get that straight out of that pot. Woo! How beautiful does that look? Again, you've got a fantastic looking root system, which I know is just going to do fabulously in Leca. Got a root that's broken off over there. Now to go outside and wash everything off. I find it easiest to clean my plants using water. I take my plants outside and use the jet setting and the shower setting of my hose to clean all that organic matter off. These two plants have got the foam plugs in them, the death plugs as some people like to call it. See how easily my jet spray gets rid of that without damaging the roots. Right, I am back from outside and look at my gorgeous little babies. How beautiful are the roots on that plant, honestly. They look so beautiful, so clean. It was so much easier to get these plants clean than any others because those roots are just lovely and big. They look like spaghetti. They look absolutely fabulous. So now we're just going to get into the lovely business of potting them up. So I need to figure out which plant I'm going to put the wick in. I'm going to put this white one in a wick setup. So I'm going to use this pot here. This is my pot from a place called Just Add Plants. It's beautiful. I really love this pot. It's got such a beautiful aesthetic and it is made out of a fiberglass. And of course it doesn't have a drainage hole, so it makes for a fabulous reservoir. And my pot sits right at the top, flush to the pot, and just looks pretty. So I think that's going to be fabulous. Fabulous. Now, I've got my wick here. So I'm going to make a knot right at the middle there because this part of the microfiber cloth is going to sit in the reservoir, or rather this part, doesn't matter which. And then the other part is going to sit in and amongst the Leca at the top. I'll do it this way, not this way. Oh my goodness, I'm clearly not thinking very straight today. Like that. That's actually not the way I want it. This is how I want it. I want the short end going into the reservoir and the tall bit going to the Leca because I want this to be sitting really in and amongst the Leca. So plants, you go this way, pots over here, and here is some Leca that I cleaned earlier and that's been soaking. So I now get my Leca and I'll just hold on to my wick a little bit there because I want my wick to be in and amongst that Leca so that it looks like this. And then I'll put a little bit more. So that's just, almost half the pot, right? This is the bit that's going in the reservoir. And I'll get my plant just to see where that sits. And, I don't like that. That is a bit too high. So I'm going to take some of the Leca out and position my plant again because I really do want my plant to sit a little bit deeper in the pot so that it's supported by the Leca. I mean, what you could do as well actually is just cut off some of those roots to get that plant to sit deeper. That's an option. I'll get rid of this little leaf over there. That's not going to get any bigger at all. That's just the starter leaves when the plant was really tiny. I don't want them getting in my way, so I'll just get rid of that. But this here is a new shoot, so I'm not going to disturb that at all. So just lay my plant there, right in the middle, distribute those roots, and then just fill that pot up with Leca. Right, that's beautiful. That's exactly the way I want it to sit in the pot. But you can see that there's still some spaces there. There's still some spaces that are not filled up by the leca, and that's not really good because those roots are just exposed to the air and they might end up dying. So just give that pot a little bit of a squeeze to settle that leca, settle all the leca in, making sure that my plant isn't moving, which it will do. So I'm actually supporting the plant by holding it in place. Shake that pot down, and when you do, you'll find that you've got more space to put more leca in. Right, that looks absolutely beautiful. It really, really does. And then I'll get my reservoir and I put my plant in there. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now we'll do the other plant. Okay, so for this plant, I'm going to use this ceramic pot as a reservoir. This 14 centimeter pot sits inside that ceramic pot. So that is what is submerged, because that liquid is going to be touching those leca clay balls. So that is why it's called submerged. So I'll put this away for a second. So like we did with the other plant, put a little bit of leca at the bottom. Okay, so that's just about a third of the way up, almost sort of where those first holes are starting to form. And I'll grab my plant and I'll see how that sits in the pot. That is pretty good. I like how that sits. So I'll fill the rest of this pot up with leca. So like the other plant, give that a squeeze, allowing that leca to settle. Grab my little pot with my birdie on it. I think that's a galah, maybe. And I put that there. And how beautiful does that look? The color of this plant is complemented by the colors on that pot. I absolutely love it. Now that I've got my plant living in leca, this is what I am going to use. This solution in here is what I like to call my special sauce. And it is made up of Growth Technology Clonex Clone Solution, which is a rooting solution, and Rootzone. And what that does is just to stimulate those roots to grow, grow, grow. And so then the roots that are there either adapt to the hydro environment or they're going to die and new roots are going to form. So in the submerged setup, that goes in the reservoir, right? And that leca does not touch the nutrient solution. Only the wick does. You can see that nutrient solution dripping. That's from the wick. So that is the wick setup over there. And with this one, it goes straight into the reservoir, and that pot, the leca in that pot is actually directly touching that nutrient solution, and it's right over there. What we want in the initial stages is to have that nutrient solution sit at this level where those first holes are, which is about a third of the way, remember, because our roots are right at the top. We don't want those roots to be in contact with that nutrient solution at the start because they're not used to living in a hydro environment and they can experience root rot. So yes, this one is submerged. This one is wick setup. We'll see in a few weeks which plant is doing better. It's been 83 days since I moved my plants from soil to semi-hydroponics, almost 3 months. Let's take a look and see how they're doing. These are my two plants over here. The first thing to note is that they are alive, and that is always a win. Always, always a win. I love that. Now, I am regretting something at this point, honestly. I do wish I had only picked the pink plant in order to do this experiment. I bought these plants and I was just buying them for my collection, and I thought to do this experiment and did not quite think it through. And I'll show you why in 2 secs. So when I pick up my white plant, which is living in the wick setup, you can see that, I've had some discoloration on my leaves, which is not very nice. But on the plus side, look at that. Look at the leaves on that plant doing so well. And I've got some new growth coming through there as well. that plant is really, really happy. And that is the little wick that is dripping nutrient solution in there. And that is the reservoir. Just look at that. That is the new growth over there. And these are the stains on my leaves that, you know, not too happy with, but I'm really, really happy with how this plant has gone. There isn't a lot of root action going on there, but I'm sure that will come. But obviously, the fact that the plant is even giving me new leaves really is telling me that things have gone really, really well. While I'm up here, I'll show you the leaves of my pink plant. Look at that. Look at how vibrant those leaves are, and they feel firm. They look really, really, really good. And I'm pretty sure this plant looks a little bit bigger than when I got it, because obviously that looks like it might be a little new leaf. And it's just, I don't know if the pinks were quite as pink when it was living in soil. It looks just beautiful. Let's take a look at the roots. You can see that again, there's not very much root action going on. Not like, you know, if it had been an alocasia. Alocasia is really quite prolific with making roots. But the plant looks really, really good. Yeah, so can I actually say there's a clear winner here? I don't think so. I don't think there is a clear winner. Both the Submerged and the Wick setup seem to be doing really, really well. And if I was transitioning a plant like this again, I probably wouldn't even bother with the Wick, honestly. And the only reason I wouldn't bother with the Wick is because for me, doing this setup is the easier way to go with things. It's my cheaper option. So yeah, I would just go with a cheaper option. Have you transitioned one of these plants from soil to semi-hydroponics? I would love to know how you did it. Let me know in the comments below. And you can even go one better. Please show me by joining my free Facebook group, Semi-Hydroponics with the Leca Queen. Now check out this next video where I'm talking about how I transition alocasias from soil to Leca. I'll see you there.